What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Welcome back to episode 71 of the Trinity podcast. I mean, KG, that was your reaction times.
It was bad. It wasn't like I wasn't ready.
Usually when I'm doing that line, I have a look at KG, and if I can sort of tell where mentally he's kind of at. There was no one home with that.
No
one.
There was I just literally saw me look up as soon as the music started. I was like, okay, game time.
Yeah, exactly. Game faces on. Big up to KG. Big up to James for the Muppeteers, the unofficial fourth member of the Trinity. When Fleck is away, he's away again. KG, it's disgraceful. Disgraceful, isn't it?
You are an absolute disgrace. You're a cheat.
Absolutely. But in his absence, we've got plenty to discuss, folks. We're going to be discussing Marcus Rashford, his future at Manchester United, possibly a priority target. Finally, plan maybe not A, not B, not C, maybe D or E, but Barca looks like they're going to activate that lever, and possibly he's a priority target for them. We're also going to be talking about Alejandro Garnacho and the weird outrage yesterday about a story that was so not a story, and then today it was explained why it was so not a story. So we're going to be talking about that as well, and just how we're all feeling. It's Friday. It's really hot. It's very, very hot today. KG's on boldness settings. He's not even going with the hat. There's too much.
Yeah. Threw the hat down. Literally, the hat was down. Absolutely. No.
Yeah. So we've got plenty to discuss. KG, I'll start with you. Just a bit of an extension on this morning. How are you feeling, mate? How are you feeling? Because
I'm pissed off.
That's what I thought.
I'm pissed off, man. Yeah, it's just bull crap. Like, I was watching your show. Well, great show this morning, and great to see your before and after is absolutely mental. Even though I was there, but still seeing it on the screen was crazy. But just quickly on United, we're a team that finished 15th. We're a team that struggled last season. We're a team that picked a coach who couldn't work with his playing squad. It was identified by all the football people, said, hey, it's going to struggle. I need to overhaul the squad. Liverpool didn't get him for that exact reason. West Ham were unsure about him for similar reasons as well. Now, Man United have gone for this guy, and you would think there's been a real plan. You heard Barada talk. You heard all these people speak. And now you're left asking, what is the plan? Because Cunha and Mbeumo wouldn't be enough anyway. So if the plan was to sell these players, how? How are you, when you say, okay, we're just going to get rid of all these guys that everybody wants, no one seems like they want them at the moment. You're seeing now we're seeing real movement in the window. The window's alive now. When you get the Sunderland's players getting to Stoke City and all that stuff, the business is being done.
The Stoke? Where did that come from?
No, I'm saying, I didn't mean this. When you saying the window's open, and I'm saying that when you say players getting to Sunderland and Stoke City, sorry, I'm just saying that how.
Yeah, why Stoke? Why Stoke?
Is this like a recession indicator? Like when Stoke is doing business, the window's open.
Well, like I'm saying, when other clubs that get their business done late, or just there's movement in the window now. Like before, we could say no one's doing anything, so that was the reason to not be upset. Now that doesn't wash anymore, because literally all clubs are preparing for a new season. Man United, with everything that they've gone through, should take preparation more serious than anybody. And we're waiting. We're just waiting. And there's no one that can give us rhyme or reason as to why Mbeumo is not happened. And the worst part about it is, with the money burning a hole in teams' pockets, let Wissa be sold. And it changes all negotiations. Then we have Anthony. Remember when everyone bought players from Ajax? And then we turned up at the final hour, says, hey, we got this Anthony money now. And I was like, are you lot serious? Well, guess what? Here's the price. Something ridiculous. And we're paying for those issues till this day. That's where we are. That's why I'm pissed off.
James, how are you feeling? Do you echo KG's thoughts? Are you a bit calm? I mean, I did see a statistic or something saying that actually this is very much on par for what we would usually have done by this time of the year. It's just, for whatever reason, a lot of people are doing early business this year. The dominoes have started to fall. It's still going to be okay, or do you have some concerns?
It's a little bit like it's a bit of both. Like, one, the Club World Cup, I think, has thrown a bit of the perception of the window out, because a lot of big clubs, a lot of clubs who have money, not United, a lot of clubs who have a lot of money, the guys who finished in those Champions League spots, who were in the Club World Cup, doing crazy business in early June, right? Lots and lots of business in June. I mean, you got Chelsea, they assign 3 players and they bring them over to the US to play in the knockout rounds, right? But that's Chelsea. That's what they do. So I think that's thrown things a bit. But I actually understood what KG was saying, like when Sunderland and these guys get going, because in June, it was mostly those clubs, City, Liverpool, Chelsea. They've got a lot of money. They're doing business. The other clubs were quiet. Nobody's doing any business in June except them. And at that point in time, when we get Cunha in the door, we're actually doing all right comparatively, right? Newcastle, no signings in June. Tottenham, no signings in June. Most of these clubs, nothing in June. Now you get to July, everybody starts working. Like you said, the market starts to move. So I get it. Like the smaller clubs do business, and the knock-on effect is there's money starting to move around the whole economy and everything like that. You see Tottenham getting some moves done, even though their second one seemingly has hit a very weird stumbling block.
Really weird, yeah.
Now that happened to Chelsea and Michael Olise, by the way, and it actually collapsed the whole deal. So it's not a given that it's going to go through on that basis. But either way, they've got a couple signings. One signing and that one kind of pending. Newcastle, they're getting Anthony Elanga done now. I mean, I'm not really particularly jealous of that business, but it is what it is. But no, I mean, it's kind of I take my perspective on it is that all of those things, all the reasons to be frustrated are true, but a lot of it's kind of stuff we should have known, we should be ready for at the same time. Like like you said, we're paying for those Anthony deals today. We can't sell players, no fault really of the present. It's because of the past. We can't sell Anthony because we paid 90 million for him. That's affecting our negotiations today. His wages that he's on, Sancho, the wages that he's on, is the only thing holding a deal up is Jadon Sancho's wages. Rashford, the only thing that is making it slow for Rashford, I'm sure we'll talk about it because it's moving to Barcelona to a degree, is those wages. The only reason we can't sell, well, Garnacho is a little bit of a different story. We'll see what happens with that. But a lot of that stuff is kind of like, we're just paying for it now. We're paying for it these days. That's money out the drain that we're trying to recoup, and it's difficult. The thing I would take about, like the manager, the system, the team, all of that, is that my view on it is that we didn't ever really have a team. There's no manager for Manchester United. No matter who we were going to bring in, nobody was going to work with this team, right? As it was. It's not really built for anybody. It's not a team that was built for anyone to come in and like.
I disagree.
Who do you think would be good? Who could have come in and be good with the team that we have?
I thought Tuchel would have been okay with his team. I thought the manager had the worst. We can't absolve Amorim of the season that he had. It's crap. There's no way. He just said, "Hey guys, I apologize," basically, in a sense. But it doesn't make it no one else could have done the job, because if he has a bad start, we're going to have to find someone to also work with this team. Someone has to get it right. So it's like, and I feel like I'm already seeing the excuses building up for if the manager has a bad season, he doesn't get to get away with it. He doesn't get to say, "Well, guys, I didn't get my number one target, so I'm sorry." Nah, mate. You asked for a pre-season time on the training field, and the club must have told you what the situation was. You're going to struggle to sell players. We're going to struggle to bring people in. Mm-hmm. We need you to make magic out of this crazy bunch, and he agreed to it. Mm-hmm. That it has to be that, because it doesn't make sense. Like, I can't understand. We've known this for a long time. We don't sell players well. We don't. We haven't sold who's been one of our best sells. Is it Daniel James?
James, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we did resell Lukaku for some good money in the end. But,
yeah. But then we've struggled in terms of in the boardroom when they're trying to get rid of players. So history will tell us, well, we're going to do it again. So unless we lied to this manager and told him, guess what, guys? We got everyone coming. We're selling. It's going to be, you're going to have record money. Trust me, the war kitty that we've been talking about for ages. No, now you're looking at it, and I hate to be this pessimistic person, but it's just the honesty. I'm more resigned to knowing we're not involved in nothing until all them countries are up. All them contracts are up, sorry.
Yeah.
That's when it's over, when the contracts are up.
I think it's a case of it would be fascinating to know. This is sort of the con of not having the Amazon documentary, isn't it? It would have been fascinating to know what was Ruben Amorim told when he came through the door as to what the plan was for, short term, long term, last season into this season. Clearly, I think he was told, and everyone agreed with the mindset of, well, those players that were looking to move on, they're not being integrated back into the team, like regardless, Yeah. So the ideal scenario is by the time training starts July 7th, they're all gone, and we've got the money in, and we're actively working on all of these other deals. That hasn't come to pass, but just because that hasn't come to pass, it doesn't mean they're coming back in. So it's quite a good segue onto the Garnacho stuff. Yesterday, there was a journalist from ESPN. I'm not sure if it's Argentina or is it in Spain? Spain, I think it is, saying Alejandro Garnacho had been given permission to join Manchester United's pre-season training at Carrington amid an uncertain future. Now, this led to everyone going, we're Player FC. As I said, we've not changed. We've not done anything. And this was off the back of, obviously, a day where lots of here we goes and announcements for teams. It's just another nail in the coffin of Manchester. Now, we're a corpse. And you sort of had to do the Don Robbie of...
Hold on, wait a minute.
Well... Really, it's a non-story, isn't it? Because Rashford's been back at Carrington Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Why has he been back Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? Because he was never not allowed back at Carrington. Correct, because they can't ban him. He's not suspended. He's still an employee of the club. He can't be banned from the office, as it were, unless there is a reason to ban him. There isn't. He's been given permission to stay away. And he's also been given permission to come back. You're not going to be training with the first team. You can train by yourself, use the facilities. That's fine. But you're just not going to be training with us. So when I saw that yesterday, I went, well, surely logic will rear its head on this one. And everyone will realize that it's not even really a story. It's the same as it was last Friday. And then Rich Fay from the Manchester Evening News today goes, and I saw James even said this yesterday, Manchester United have not handed Garnacho permission to return to training. Their medical and rehabilitation facilities will remain available should he wish to utilize them. And remote support will continue, but he's still expected to leave. So bit of a non-story, but James, does that go to show this, tension that's there with everyone of, they're going to come. I know they're going to come back because we're not doing anything. So therefore they're going to come back.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like, the thing is people like to draw a lot of patterns with the past and things like that as well. It is an entirely new group of people. Like when people say, oh, United always do this and United always do that and United always do this. But what does that mean? Like, what is United? United is whatever people are running the club at that point in time in terms of the management. Every single person has been replaced. So it's not the same people making the same decisions. They didn't say on Saturday, hey, these 5 players staying away. And then 3 days later, oh, by the way, not really. One of them's coming back and they're coming into training 3 days later while he's been in Argentina or wherever he's been in Spain or something like that and hasn't even had to sit down with the club. So none of that has happened. And I think people are too ready to assume the worst on everything, understandably, because of what has happened. But it just kind of goes to show, when it came out, I was talking with people and there was so much panic and it was immediate, everybody assuming the absolute worst. And I said, all right, well, so I sent a message off because I was like, I'm just going to clarify this as quick as possible. And I'm sure it's not what you think. And lo and behold, it wasn't. But people are so ready to assume the worst. That's kind of why I push back against it so much at times, because I think people have got trauma. They've got so much trauma from United that it's hard to think in the present about what's going on today, and that it's actually an entirely new group of people in there, an entirely new group of decision makers that are probably not going to do things the same way.
But we're still affected. While we talk about the trauma of the past still affects us today.
Of course.
So, that's the thing. I wish.
But I'm just saying, they're not the people that are gonna, like the Glazers, Woodward, or somebody would go, oh, we're not going to get a good value out of Garnacho, so we're going to bring him back into the fold 2 days later, you know, because all they would like, they do that thing with extending contracts a lot, right? Like that's one of those things. We didn't extend Lindelof, we didn't extend Eriksson, we didn't extend again Johnny Evans. Last summer was Martial, Varane, all these guys. That thing they do where it's like that player's going to leave, and then at the last minute they give them a new contract because they're preserving value. We don't do those types of things anymore. They have prioritized moving these players out, and they're ready to let them sit and rot if they're not going to prioritize a move, because it's not all financial, right? You know, the things about culture, about changing it, some of that is going to cost us money because we're just dealing with this, you know, those consequences of the past. But they are meaning it when they say they're going to change the culture of things. And that's one of those things. You don't just bring them back because it's financially, you know, precarious. You don't just bring them back and ruin the dressing room because it's financially precarious. They're not going to do that. And I think people assume they will.
They'd have never told them, basically, you got permission not to come back. They would have never done that before. You know, it would always been report for Monday, get in, not the whole situation like it is now where it's like, no, you don't have to, because we're not going to use you, basically. You can use facilities if you want, but you're not joining in class. You know, it's one of those ones.
I like what they've done on that behalf. And you know what? I feel like Rubens is the right guy, but it's happening at the wrong time. Like, if we got Ruben before like a Ten Hag type situation, well, he could have got that good investment and he would have picked out the bad apples. But what we've done is we've got a good manager that wants to shake things up, what we've always been crying out for. But now we're at the risk of falling even more heavily, and there's no finances to fix the mistakes. You know, right? What we need is money to really get in the market and send strong messages. Like, I don't know about you lot, we've raised all this money from the Carreras deal, from the Elanga deal. What are we waiting for? With the
that should be enough for that should be enough, surely, to get it over the line, you would think, right? I mean, it's a total of it's like 12 million ish, something like that.
Yeah, 12 in the end it'll be like 12 to 18 between Elanga, Alvaro, and even Oyedele. We're getting a few million coming in there.
So
exactly. So
what are we waiting for? What I don't believe the message that we think we're sending out, I don't think is as strong as the original message that's here. This club's a mess and they're broke. That's the strongest message we got out there at the moment. And if they do arrive, we're going to make them pay, because that's the price. It's not like there's usually that Man United tax. There's actually a Premier League. Players are going for 55 to 50 million.
It's all in that number, isn't it? I can't stop seeing 50, 55 or 60. It feels like every transfer is 50, 55 or 60, because they keep basically pointing to these deals that have been done, going, well, if he's 50, he's 55, or if he's 60, then he's definitely 60. And you feel that's what Brentford are doing. I mean, just right now, it's been reported that Crystal Palace have been demoted to the Europa Conference League by UEFA. And Nottingham Forest, and Nottingham Forest have been upgraded to the Europa League, subject to an appeal. But this is the thing now: if Forest now in the Europa League, obviously they're getting the money from Elanga. Gibbs White's a bit more. We don't really know what's going on there. But if they do go after Wisser and say, okay, we'll give you a 40, 50 million, then what does that do to the Bryan and Bumo deal? That throws another wrench into it.
Buy him now. This is why that has got to be one of the major, like, United are not getting away with, hey guys, everyone's now going to believe that we're a stricter, more serious organization from this Mbeumo deal. They're not. It's not going to go across. Some fans will feel aggrieved that it's taken how many weeks to get done. But I don't feel like a strong message is being sent in the haggling over 5 million. When you've made that 5 million, it's the PR of it. It's not really us. It's 5 million that we weren't expecting from the Maxi sell. Use that. It's money excess made from this that we just decided we're gonna put there. You know, simple. but we're just doing everything else. But I want to see us get at least get these two for preseason and say, okay, we're starting preseason with a new two new 10s and Bruno in his specified position. Right now, there's no reason for Bruno on preseason to play deeper when there's the new 10. The 10 is not there yet.
Well, they're saying that's the aim, KG. That was the thing this week, wasn't it? Which again did worry me because the goalpost has moved a couple of times on this, and I was like, we want Cunha and Mbeumo for the 7th. Then it was, we might want him for the Sweden game. Then it was, we're hoping he's going to be on the US tour. The aim is to get it done for the US tour. And I think he's already in America, so he might as well just stay there, and we might pick him up along the way kind of situation. I don't know. That is a little bit of a concern. Lucas been a member for 36 months. Says, big up everyone. Love every show. Keep up the good work. Have a great summer, everyone. 3-year member. Time flies. Big up to you, Lucas. Yeah, always calling full-time view as well. 3 years. I have a question then, just on the back of this Palace stuff, which, by the way, if you're a Crystal Palace fan, that's such bullshit. They won the FA Cup and they're not allowed in the Europa League. What a joke that is. That is ridiculous. Because you know for a fact, if, let's say, we had won the FA Cup again, you know, and we had the same issues as Palace, they would let us in.
They couldn't
want Man United. They want Man United in the competition. It's just because it's Palace and like, oh, who cares? Basically, that is bullshit. But in terms of us, does that make it suddenly a bit more possible to maybe go get some Palace players? I'm thinking Mateta. I'm thinking Adam Wharton. Is that suddenly something we...
Nope. I don't. I mean, I'm not sure that it changes much, does it? Because they're gonna maybe, you know, it's like they're still getting good money. They're still winning the FA Cup. They're still gonna be in Europe. So, you know, I think the only thing that would change is if Mateta doesn't want to stay anymore. Because the issue is he wanted to stay. He wants to sign a new contract. If his situation changes there, that could change it. But it feels like he's committed there. I don't know why. Like just from all the noise out there, it feels like he's committed to staying at Palace and that all of that. And I don't think anyone's getting Adam Wharton out of Palace this summer at all. I think it's 100 million plus for a player like him right now.
I think it's more Arsenal are going to quickly go and collect Eze. I think that's the something that will be more, because you're talking about conference versus Champions League. There's no competition. Him going home, that's more likely. So I can see them doing that business more so than anything. If anyone leaves there, it'll probably be Eze. And that's where all the talks have been, you know. But then for anything else, other business, not happening. And there are no mugs. You know, you heard how they was negotiating when people wanted Newcastle came in there for Mark Gay. They said absolutely not. I know Liverpool wanted to test the resolve. I think Gay's got 1 year left on his contract, so he could be going on a free.
He still might end up going to Liverpool. They reckon they still could end up going. Yeah.
Especially Real Madrid as well, looking at Canate, right? And they got embarrassed, so they want to think about that defense. So there's a lot. Listen, there's a lot going on in this football thing, but I just don't feel like our chess piece is on the board. And that's the biggest worry of it all. Like before, something at Crystal Palace would alert Man United to say, guess what? We can have a look now. We got to do all this business. You're even I'm hearing the Barcelona president say they have to get sales done before they want to bring in new players. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean you can't bring in Rashford? Are you waiting again?
Well, I mean, who knows with this Rashford stuff, to be honest, because so after hearing like 10 million different reports about him being plan B for Nico Williams, and then no, plan B was Luis Diaz, and then no, you know, Diaz isn't happening. Florian Plettenberg said this morning that the priority, he used the word priority, Barcelona is Marcus Rashford. They want to try again. They're prepared to go all in. So I don't know what that means. But Rashford is now the clear number one target. Talks are ongoing. The green light from Hansi Flick was already given days ago. He definitely is going to leave Manchester United. If they're going all in, James, and surely, and I think I saw Laurie Whitwell say this too, the problem that they have now is that Man United know, well, you were willing to pay, was it 58 million pounds for Nico Williams. We're saying Rashford, give us 40 of Rashford and it's sorted. So there's that. If Barca are going, right, our priority is Rashford and they're all in, Does that mean actually that permanent deal looks a bit more likely? And then we've actually got some real money to spend.
It's always hard to predict with Barcelona, right? Because it's like, I mean, part of it is this, right? We're ready to pay 60 million or so for Brian Mbeumo. If we didn't get Mbeumo and then we were targeting Tyler Dibbling, would that mean we're willing to pay 60 million for him? No, because it's a different player, different circumstances, different situation, right? Rashford's a bit older, different record than Nico Williams, different situation than Nico Williams, different situation at at United, where they know he's not playing here. They know he has no future at United. They know, he prefers them. That he doesn't really have an option. There's no issue. So I think they're still going to push us for a loan. I think they're still going to push us for a loan. And I think that's what we're going to have to accept at the end. Now, I think they will get an option in there, but it'll be an option more than it'll be a guarantee, an obligation, because you still have this other issue of how many years Rashford has left on this contract and how much money is owed to him. It's an enormous amount. I mean, we've seen like with Sancho talk about, they're going to need to pay off 5-6 million. Well, he's only got a year left, and it's 5-6 million is going to be like the payoff to get a deal done for Jadon Sancho if it's going to happen. For Rashford, talking potentially 20 or 30 million. It's an enormous amount of money that he's owed. 45 million is left on his contract in pounds, so whatever the gap is there, that is money owed, unfortunately. And from these contracts we've handed out. So I think Barcelona will play us a bit on that, and they'll sweat it, and they'll sweat a loan out of this. And that's fine, as long as we're getting most of his wages off. It does save us money. It does help us, and it gets him back. As long as he's playing somewhere, then the odds of him leaving permanently next season are still up significantly. If he does well for Barcelona, they will buy him in the end. They're not a club that, if a player comes there and actually performs, they end up buying them. They end up using them. They end up keeping them. But I think for this season, they're going to try to sweat us a bit, and we're going to have to accept that, I think, at the end of the day.
Do you lot question Amarim's IQ in regards to handling certain players? Because his weakening of our hand is crazy. Like you've seen it with. I look at the difference, and it's not obviously they're not having a personal issue, but at Real Madrid, Xabi Alonso doesn't want Rodrigo. Yeah, doesn't see him as a part of his plans. He said tactical. He said everything else, but don't really want him. Don't really fancy him. Because Real Madrid have put out the message of, well, he's an important player. We reluctantly sell him. If anyone wants to buy him, 100 million. Value's fine. We'll keep him. He's a good player. See if he can battle his way back into the team. With us, we have 4 or 5 players that have to come in the back door while the manager goes out the front. Week in, week out. You lot have a problem. I'm doing you a favor. If I go to the negotiation table, you can't afford to have this thing here. It's too much. You're in trouble. Have we just, the argument, is there a thing there where you say, look, that's dangerous. It's a dangerous precedent we're setting.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
But KG, the culture at Real Madrid versus United is so different in terms of what these players have done.
You want to get rid of, though. I'm talking about things that keep in value. Even Chelsea got rid of Noni Madueke, and it seemed like he was a valuable player, but it's not. They didn't want him as well.
We could cherry pick examples there, but then we could also say about Raheem Sterling, because for me, when this argument comes up, I just go, well, then what do we actually want? Because when like last season or for years, we've been going, what this club needs to be is ruthless. And if they just isolate and throw out squad. And every time another club does it, we go, that's what we should do. Like last year when the Sterling stuff, that's what we should do. No integration of Sancho back into training. Just tell them, don't come back.
Chelsea have 12 guys in their bomb squad, by the way. Like the guys who aren't with the team. They have 12 of them right now.
Yeah, and we say like, oh, that's what we want. And then when we do it, then we start having arguments amongst ourselves going, it's a bit disrespectful, isn't it? Or I don't know. Or we can't
I don't care about that.
Like
that part is not. That's not what
we do. And then we go, oh, we can't move them on because of value. And it's actually, well, I don't think the whole thing of like with Ruben and let's say the Garnacho thing, I don't think that's got anything to do with it. But like James mentioned it earlier, Marcus Rashford, it's difficult to move him on, not because all of these clubs are like, oh, we know that you want to get rid of him. It's because they look at his contract, which was done 2 or 3 years ago. They look at that and they go, actually, why would we pick up that? Jadon Sancho. Someone said this to me on one of the morning shows the other day, like with the Garnacho thing. He's a bad egg, so why would clubs take a chance on him? I went, has anyone ever watched football before? There's a reason like Nicolas Anelka had the most money spent on him ever, because even though his personality was wild, if you're half decent, you will get a move somewhere because there's too much money on the line. If someone thinks they can get a tune out of you, they will buy you. The real issue is money. So I don't think it's like, I don't look at Ruben Amorim and go, oh, the way you've treated some of these players, blah, 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 because it's the same with Eric. With Ten Hag was, the way he treated Sancho, who gives a shit? With Garnacho, he still gets sold. He will get sold.
Yeah, but he's not sold has nothing to do with Amorim's comments. I just promise you that it has nothing to do with him. It's a difficult situation to do, but like the thing is here. All right, let's just like what Owen was just saying there. You have Garnacho, the second most goal contributions of any young player under 21 behind Lamine Yamal. It's not Amorim's comments that are not why he's being sold right now. It's not his issue. If clubs rated him at his age, with his circumstances, there would be a line out the door for him with the perception of what he is in there. People know in the football world what's going on here. You look at young players who are purchased. There's many of them with different issues, different problems, different things showing up. Garnacho's not on big wages. He's not a huge risk. There are many teams that would take a punt. The only club that's come in for him seriously so far is Ten Hag from Leverkusen. That's it.
But then that's what I'm saying. Well, why is that happening? Why is only one team coming for Garnacho? Like, if he's that good player that you say clubs don't care, this, that, and the other, and they just want, they don't care about bad eggs. They just really want a player. If they're getting them kind of numbers, they want to buy him. And then now all of a sudden, you got a contract that's not a bad contract that anyone can pick up. But he's still here. What is that about?
I think of what James is sort of alluding to here, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's kind of a situation of, are we really blaming Ruben Amorim for telling off the player that's misbehaving and then going, that's Ruben Amorim's fault that he told that player off. That's why he's leaving. Shouldn't the focus mainly be on actually the person that's misbehaving and go, actually, it's your fault. And again, it's a cultural problem, and we don't
like
that cycle.
Arsenal did this. Like we did talk about this on Monday. Arsenal did all this. They couldn't easily sell Ozil, Aubameyang. They did the same thing. We're doing today what Arsenal did 4 years ago. That's where we are as a club. We're doing what they did with Aubameyang, with Ozil, with these players that Mikel Arteta didn't want. They didn't move them easily. Pepe as well. They had to pay a lot of these players off. They had to send them away. It wasn't easy to sell them, but they did change the culture at the club in a very meaningful way. And it was done with a lot of intentionality. They didn't recoup big fees. They didn't do all of that. They just accepted it and said, we're going to have to deal with this to change the way that this club is running. And I think there's a lot of parallels with what they did back then and what we're doing today. And nobody said, I don't think at the time anyway, I'm not an Arsenal fan. You guys are closer with some of the Arsenal groups and things like that. I don't think anybody back then was saying, Arteta, you criminal, you're treating Ozil wrong, you're treating Aubameyang wrong. Or maybe they did. In the end,
with
Ozil, maybe there were some different things that were going on there, other issues.
Again, it's
it kind of worked out in the end,
It's not me saying that, Amorim shouldn't, like, I feel like the messaging is just, it's the way the message goes out. Because, when we did the situation with Sancho last summer, where it's like, yeah, we can see him a part of the squad, so and so and so. So you feel like there's some value, like, he was never going to be reintegrated, but we gave the look of reintegration just because. Now I just feel like I'm going to value something as much as you teach me to value it at. I'm setting the standard. I'm setting, however these people want to look at this thing is how I will tell the world it is. So if I'm saying this is not valuable, don't rush for it. Like, as you lot said, Barcelona are going to say, hey, we want a loan for Rashford. They had 60 million. available. They got money available for Diaz. They put in a bid for Diaz. What happened to that money? Because they're gonna come to us and say, "Hey guys, just loan." Why? I recognize your situation. You guys are desperate. You need me more than I need you. The negotiation is off, is what I'm saying. And that's the thing that I want us to address and be a bit more cuter with. That's all. So,
well, that's just negotiation, isn't it, KG? Do you know what I mean? Because they might, I suppose this is kind of what James said as well earlier, of Barca might not want to pay 40 million for Rashford. They might think, no, because again, we know you want to get rid of him, not because of Ruben Amorim's comments, just because like last season we saw it with Sancho. Like we tried the whole, we'll put him in the shop window, reintegrate him in pre-season. And then once the season started, he didn't play for us because he was never going to be properly reintegrated, and we still struggled to move him on. He's still a Man United player.
He's still a problem.
So why should we try doing that again? We shouldn't, should we? We should try something else. We should do something different, no?
Yeah, I think it's also like nobody's going to believe it. You know, Jadon Sancho was frozen out before Ineos came in. He was on loan already before Ineos came in, before Wilcox came in, who knows him from the City Academy and all of that, right? So you could make a plausible like lie, which is new leadership, new team in place. We're going to get them together. They're going to kiss and make up. You know, we're going to mend old mistakes. This stuff just happened 2 months ago. All of this stuff is just happening now with the same people here, the same people in place. So nobody's going to sit there and believe, yeah, you know what? They've made up. You know, I think that the public perception, like on the outside that we see as fans as well, the football clubs know a lot more than that anyway. I really don't think it matters what comes out on the surface. They all know the issues. You know, Garnacho's agent has been running around since January talking to clubs about his situation as well, you know, looking for people to take him so he doesn't really have a place in United. He's not there in the future. That's why he feels okay to make those comments, because he's already looking for a move. That's why he felt okay to be public with some of the things he said and done, because he's already looking for a move. The teams out there know this. You know, Marcus Rashford, if we had to keep it quiet, you know, he would have sat out of the team for 6 months. People are going to ask questions like that anyway and say, you know, well, why is Rashford not playing football for 6 months? Something's really wrong here. Does he have a crazy injury behind the scenes? Is there some huge issue there? At least he was on loan at Aston Villa playing in games and things like that. I don't think there's much more we can do. Honestly, I just don't. I just don't think there's anything else.
I just feel we're in the weakest position. Like, Rashford's literally begged for Barcelona, and they keep finding another option before deciding, okay, we're serious about Rashford now. You know, and I don't know if they put us. I don't think we put ourselves in strong positions. I know that everyone was in the comment section. They're saying KG is just wages. Well, then I said, well, okay. Wages aside, Garnacho, and then you're saying maybe there's something behind the scenes as to why people are not getting for Garnacho. But then with the level of talent that he has, somebody should take a punt on it's not his wage is not aggressive.
Well, I would say, KG, and you sort of answered your own question there, because you started off by saying, does Amorim lack IQ for how he's handled that? And I would say all the things you're mentioning there, saying we're not in a good position to negotiate and we're in the weakest position, et cetera, et cetera. I agree with you. That's true. But I don't know if I'd put the blame on Ruben Amorim for that. I'd just be like, I think that's kind of systemic. And if you were going to blame people, you'd go, right, okay, why is it like that? Well, a lot of people that are not there anymore gave up contracts 3, 4, 5 years ago that we can't do anything about. And either they just expire or we take a massive hit on them. Or the cultural problem at Manchester United, I mean, you could trace that back maybe a decade plus. I think there's a real problem. And maybe this is why we're so focused on youth recruitment at the moment. Mm-hmm. You look at a lot of the young players that have come through into our team, or just sort of young players that have come through the academy that we've had issues with. It's not a talent issue, but maybe a behavioral issue or a mentality issue. There's something wrong there. And there's been something wrong there at that club for quite some time. I saw someone talking this week about when Ralph Rangnick was there and the problems he had with the players in specifically and what have you. And I don't know if that's Ruben Amorim's fault. He's probably just the latest name to walk into that and go, this is not what I thought this was going to be. But I suppose the only way you fix that is through some kind of pain, perhaps, that we don't see. Sanjeet with the super chat says, Brentford have done deals for Frank and backroom staff, Fleck and Norgard, key members of their squad. Don't think Brentford are the problem here. I will defend Man United when it comes to that one, because you talk about those deals, though. Flecken was, 8 million? Norgard was 31, not that much money to Arsenal. A new manager and a backroom staff was what they already had. It was an internal hire in Keith Andrews. Their sporting director has come out and said, equivocally, that Brian Mbeumo is their best player. Therefore, they want as much money as they can possibly get for their best player. And then also these other deals keep happening whereby they keep going, see, I told you he's worth more than that. Because if, Alanga's worth this, or if Gittins is worth this, Brian Mbeumo is worth more. But to KG's point, seemingly we're only like 2 or 3 million off what they want for him. So why don't we go and do it? Do you think that's what it's going to be now? Or do you think they're moving the goalposts a little bit then, James?
Well, I think they are, but I think the fee is less an issue than the demands in terms of the cash and the structure of the deal. And I think this is what's changed over time, because it's well and easy to say, hey, we could go up a couple of million. We can. We're willing to. But are they asking for 60 million pounds in cash up front? Because United actually can't do that kind of business. That's the type of thing that's landed us in trouble. It started in 2020 with Harry Maguire, I believe, where we used to pay for all these deals in installments. And then, we get under the gun to get a deal done that summer, and Leicester asking for 80 million in cash for Harry Maguire, and we pay it 80 million in cash. And since then, it's been a constant story of clubs asking us for cash up front and us paying it. You look at how much we paid for Anthony. A lot of it's up front. How much we paid for Casemiro. I think Madrid were a little more reasonable because it's Madrid in terms of installments. But a lot of these deals we've done have been cash. Big money up front. We don't have that. We don't have the money to do that.
On the credit card. Maybe not
on
complete cash.
Card, yeah.
But it's cash on the credit card.
And interest rates, credit was cheap back then. That's why we did it. You could get a loan 2020, 2021, 1% back then. They could get money for cheap. This is where it gets kind of boring in terms of the economics of it. We could borrow money for nothing back then. Everybody could. We can't borrow money for nothing now. Interest rates are high. Everybody knows, has dealt with that in the real world too.
But then why is it that we waited a whole week before going back with the third bid then? So we should at least and say, it should be a third bid saying, well, try it. Here's this one for size. Does this sound good to you guys? We know what kind of that they're looking like. We should even test their resolve again and say, hey guys, well, we've decided to go with this. Are we closer? Are we there? We haven't done it. So then, and if he's our number one target and we haven't put the bid in, it just leaves you scratching your head saying, well, what the hell are we doing?
That's what a lot of people have said that they're worried about, isn't it? A lot of people are going, the absence of anything is concerning, because you would think with the amount of time they've been talking, surely everyone in that situation knows what the other person wants. So why haven't we got there at that point? And I think that's the concern, is that sort of lack of hearing anything. I mean, it's been was it like 6 weeks since that David Ornstein first thing came out saying that, he only wants Man United. It's in that period of time, a couple of bids. And then particularly the last 2 weeks, I suppose, nothing. And what's really worrying me as well is that obviously we know that Cunha done. And we've known for weeks that two of our biggest targets were Cunha and Mbeumo. But after that, I don't actually know who the rest of our targets are. Like usually you have a bit of a list and you guys probably going to be this, probably going to be this. Maybe that's a good thing because they're keeping it so close to the chest about it that we just don't know. But they've been working on stuff. Or maybe it's because they're kind of non-starters until we can sell people and we can't sell people. So we still haven't started.
I think we're going to do the Man United special, get back from tour, then start probably bringing in a few faces. It won't be like, I was hoping that we're getting Mbeumo done, which I kind of expected. I thought Mbeumo and Cunha will be done, and then we find the other ones late. I thought Gyökeres would have been still on the table because of his situation, but that's not happening. So I literally just thought, these players, we're going to get the last minute loans, a lot of last minute stuff because of our players waiting to go to specific teams. You know, the Rashford one now, God knows if he does end up at Barcelona, when they can register him, what does that mean for us and financially? Do we have money or not? You know, like all of that stuff is things to think about. It's just, listen, we're here for the ride. We just know that Man United are gonna.
But we didn't want to be on the ride. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you said we're here for the ride. We're very familiar with the ride. We go every year. And the worst thing is, we did kind of know this was coming. This isn't actually that much of a revelation. I think if we were being really, really honest with ourselves, we knew there was a high chance it was going to be like this. But maybe because the Cunha thing happened so quickly and the Mbeumo news came out so early, we thought, actually, you know what? Maybe it is a little bit different because, yeah, it was so bad last season. We finished 15th and we've got to have this big overhaul. Yeah, yes. But then when you really think about it, you do sort of go, it was always going to be like this, wasn't it? I mean, we're not in Europe.
Well, we was
these players that we earmarked to move on. It's not Football Manager. It was never going to be that straightforward, was it? It wasn't.
Yeah.
No, but not so true. You know, because when the season was ending, we couldn't wait to end the season because we thought the window was going to open and we'd get rid of these players, like get rid of the criminals.
Some people thought, but if we really were honest with ourselves,
yeah,
KG,
I mean,
if we were really, really honest with ourselves, no denial, no copium, did we really think it was going to be as easy as, they'll go?
Listen, I did a video yesterday and I looked back with everybody, with the chat and I did a video in, I think, April or May about what I thought our summer would look like. You know who I had as signings? I had Delap, Tyler Dibling, and James Trafford, and that was our summer. So, like, the reason sometimes people look and say, James, you positive, too positive, it's toxic, you know, why aren't you so negative? I look at it and I'm like, that's what I was prepared for. I absolutely lost it after the Europa League final. I was so negative after the Europa League final because to me, that was my kind of accepting this was going to be shit. This was going to be really bad. That this was, you know, that is a horrible summer in the short term. In the long term, there's some decent young players in there that can grow. But I was like, right, next year we aim for top 10. We get some young players in. We go for top 10. We get a few more young players in. We go for top 8. We get a few more players in. Then we can start to compete again 3-4 years down the road for Champions League. The fact that we've got Cunha after that and just like wrapped it up. And the fact that I think we'll still get Mbeumo, to me, it's like considering what I thought was going to happen and the reality of where we are, we're a little bit playing with house money if we get Mbeumo done. Don't get me wrong there, right? If we get Mbeumo done, I'm pretty happy with it because it's a hell of a lot better than I thought we would be. It's a hell of a lot better than what I thought we were going to do. I agree with that. I think we'll get John Victor, though. I think we'll get someone like that. And I think we will get a keeper. For what it's worth.
I think we'll do a lot of business. I still think that, like, you know, the Mbeumo one, I still think will happen. I still think we'll get some form of a striker. I don't know what that will look like, by the way, because I still think that Anthony will go, Garnacho will go, Rashford will go, Sancho, they'll find, even if they pay him off, I think he'll end up going. Malacia, I sort of think like he might get like Celtic for like 3 million or something crazy. But I still think all of these people will go. But I think it's just going to be one of those ones where we're still going to be doing business well into August, maybe even on deadline day. You know, to say earlier on, you know, like Rashford flying to Barcelona, that might happen in the last week of the window. Garnacho, because still a lot of stuff can still happen between then, i.e., when the squad gets announced for the preseason tour of the States, when those names are or are not included in that squad, people will be like, oh, I guess really real, you know, and then maybe some more stuff will happen. So I just feel it's a game of chicken. And because kind of what James was mentioning earlier, maybe because it's the Club World Cup stuff over the summer, maybe just because people have just moved really early this time around, I just feel like we're just going to be, I think we're going to be playing catch up. We are going to be playing catch.
And we
sure.
can't afford to be.
We can't afford to, but I think that's the reality. It is what it is.
For sure. But this is the hardship that we find ourselves in as a squad and as a team. You know, we're going to do this catch-up thing now. We all know that's the worst situation Man United can find with having the bad season that we had, and that being this is what we're going to go for is crazy. That is like that is crazy. So do we prepare the fans and prepare ourselves for this could be another bad season?
Well, here's one, KG.
Our rivals are getting stronger.
Here's one for you, because this is the one that scares me quite a lot. First game of the season, Arsenal, Old Trafford. Picture both of those teams on paper, what they will look like. So Arsenal potentially are going to have a team that's got like Odegaard.
We outplayed them at Old Trafford last season, so
but they've got different. They've got Zubimendi will be in there. I
think they've got worse, but that's a different story.
Gyökeres. They got worse. Might have Eze. What will our team look like? And UV clips, if you're watching this, clip it and then save it for when the first game of the season actually happens. What do we think? That first game of the season, what's the Man United team look like?
Exactly the same. That's the scary. Just add Cunha.
Well, no Cunha. You just add Cunha.
Yeah, exactly the same. Add Cunha. Like you have the potential of Xerxes up front.
So name it from goalkeeper to striker, KG.
Let's go. Onana definitely. Maguire, Euro, Mazraoui, Dorgu. I'll get to that one because I don't know where Ahmad's playing in that situation. So I go, I'm going to go Casemiro and Ugarte. I'm going to go Casemiro. Yeah, so Ahmad's actually playing wing back. Casemiro, Ugarte, Bruno, Cunha. Yeah. Big man up front. Xerxes up front.
That's what you think.
Right? It's going to be...
No, Mbeumo.
It'll be Mbeumo. Mbeumo's still going to get done. Oh, Mbeumo, Cunha, Bruno, Casemiro, Ugarte, Ahmad, Dorgu, Yoro, Delict, Mazraoui, and probably still Onana. And I think that's a much better team than what we had last year.
I think I'm preparing myself for just if that Mbeumo deal doesn't happen now.
But then we'll sign somebody else. We have 60 million.
Yeah, no.
Like it's going to be Watkins or Mateta or somebody. If Mbeumo doesn't happen, there's money to buy someone. Like we're not going to not buy someone. There's money. We have 62 million that we bid for him.
Hey, KG, you're very defeated today.
I can prepare myself for. I think the best thing I can do now. This is
not a Kevin Gary I recognize. I don't.
Well, no, you have to just be honest and say, look, you have to prepare ourselves for a shit time.
KG, when you come,
man, no one mentioned Cobby. No one even brought him up. How mad is that? It wasn't even a thought.
Well, no, I hope he can. I really hope that these players, like, we have a great preseason and we do something that gives us hope again. But it's hard to be hopeful when we're looking at the situation, bro. We can't sell players. I need a ray of light that lets me believe. And you know that day when we got linked to Mbeumo and was all excited.
Yeah.
It's all gone, bro. Do you know what I mean? Because it's all gone. I have to be honest. And that if the best way I can protect myself and my mental health is to just feel like, well, we're not doing anything for a while, and it just makes it easier.
Is this measured? This is measured. It's more than measured.
I don't know.
What if we hadn't signed Cunha in June, and we hadn't gotten all this news in June? Because Tottenham did nothing in June, Newcastle did nothing in June, most of these clubs did nothing in June, and we got people. Like a week ago, we signed Cunha. And a week ago, we got the stories about Mbeumo. Would everybody feel better? Because I think to a degree, it's like it's game week 12, and a couple clubs are getting some wins in game week 12. We were getting wins in game week 1, 2, and 3. And we're like level on points, but everybody's thinking the momentum's with other clubs. And it's being a bit overstated at where things are at right now.
No, I would have had these issues. As soon as I saw Onana smiling, walking into training, and all them players, I thought, that was a moment. I saw him smiling, walking back, and I saw the Jadon Sancho, there's no truth in the Sancho to Juve thing, was a painful blow as well. That hurt. Like, and
the funny one was the Garnacho one yesterday. That was the whole Napoli thing. That was hilarious because it was like, oh yeah, it's coming out. I did a show on it, and then it was like the Napoli president. The quote was so ridiculous that it had to have been made up. You know what I mean? But it was like the only reason I want him is because he's from Man United, and players when they leave Man United get better. Basically, and everyone was like, I can't believe he said this, and it turns out he didn't. But people ran with it. People like proper outlets ran with that. That's how what the position we're in at the moment. It's wild. C1 Chaos with the super chat says if Gibbs White deal fails, Spurs will sign him. Boomo. And he wants United, doesn't he?
No, they won't.
Jamudi says if it's a cash upfront issue and we don't have cash, we can't do anything about it. They are likely trying to gather cash. They don't want to use the other credit.
And that's a sincere possibility, by the way. Just trying to get cash in to make this deal because they can't do it otherwise. That is a possibility.
Aboki says, James, how can Asna be worse? Gyökeres, Madueke, Eze.
Oh, they've signed Gyökeres and Eze. I didn't see the news on that. They've signed them already.
Look at that bit of sarcasm.
Because you look at out of Portugal, by the way, and who's been very good on this, and they're saying that deal's off at the moment. That is completely stalled. Yeah. Eze's not signed. I think getting into it, the reason I said they got worse, I don't rate the midfield change from a moral standpoint. I rate the midfield change. Yeah. But from a pure footballing standpoint, I think they've got a lot weaker in the midfield, moving from Partey to Zubamendi. I watched Casemiro run through Zubamendi in that Europa League game. I do not think he will cut it in the Premier League. He does not have the physicality, and Partey was a huge part of their midfield. That's why I think they've gotten worse. That's just my opinion.
United Love says, what if the idea now is off the table to rotate Cunha, Xerxes, Bruno, and Buma as false nines and tens? Basically, a fluid front three, and Kobe, Cass, Ugarte are the central midfield options with Collier. Well, a lot of people have been saying that. They've been saying, with if you don't get Gyökeres and we don't get a striker, it's still possible because we've got a lot of players that can play up front or play in and around up front. So it's not the worst thing in the world. I think it just depends on getting that Mbeumo one done. And then also, like I said, I think it's just the outgoings. If there are movements on the outgoings.
Anthony, get out of here. I thought he was going to be gone by now. Why the hell is he still around?
Because he wants Real Betis.
Why?
He's sat in Brazil waiting for Betis to make a deal.
Has Real Betis signed any other players? Didn't they buy someone?
They sold
the wages.
Players.
It's again the wages. Like you got to bear in mind, they're signing guys on 10,000 a week. Anthony's on 120,000 a week. Like these clubs don't have the money that. It's big.
But he's preferring Betis, right? He's not looked at other clubs. But even that feels stupid. They don't have the finances to do this deal. What are you waiting for? Are they going to be? Does they know about a Saudi takeover that we don't know about? That sit tight in Brazil, Saudi takeover, we can pay for you. When are they going to have the finances? What is the long-term plan of being able to pay for Anthony? Because if there is one, if there's an amazing lump of money coming in, then fine, let's wait. But it doesn't feel like it.
It's like the Sancho one, KG. With I saw a thing today that basically Chelsea in their talks of him effectively said, look, our contribution to your loan is around sort of £120,000 a week ish. That's what we're willing to pay for you. But like with everyone at Chelsea, you'll have a lot of incentives. If you score goals, if you play, if we win things, you'll easily make what you're earning now and more. And his reaction to that was no. So it just goes to show for him, it's always been about wages. And for a lot of these players, they're not willing to, only for a very specific club would they be willing to take a pay cut, like with Rashford to Barca. Anyone else? No. I want to have the exact, either the same amount or more. With Garnacho, do you think he's going to go anywhere and say, I'm on 50 at United, I'll stick to 50? Of course he's not. There's no way he's going to go, I'll stick to £50,000 a week. Absolutely no chance. Sancho, he knows no one will give him the contract he's on at United. So it's either we stick with that for a couple more years, I make sure I get all the money that's owed to me, then I take a pay cut. Because you notice, it's like with the Martial one. You notice when he went to AEK Athens, then he took a pay cut because he had to. Because where else is he going to go? He doesn't have a contract anymore. But he wasn't willing to stop to let the United one go away. Because why would you? Why would you? It's not their fault that they signed that contract. DRZ says, cheer guys, enjoy the US trip. Hope some academy kids rise to the challenge in pre-season. There are spots to grab. Yes, only a few days away from that US trip. And Super Arch says, waiting for a season of we should have sold Bruno. People have already started that, going.
Oh, we're finished. I can't wait.
100
Well,
million.
I'm not looking forward to it, but his first bad game, the 100 million. Every time he does anything stupid, turn down 100 million for that.
Yeah. Exactly. And Arif says we just need to watch preseason action to judge. Big up to everyone for tuning in, putting in your super chats. Another episode of the Trinity Podcast, episode 71. We'll be back same time next week.
Send the people on. I've got a stream.
I've already done it.
Football Power Hour as well for the raid.
Yes, Football Power Hour raided us earlier. Shout out to them. And the redirect's on for KG Reckless Sports, who's going live in now-ish. So you can join him over there. And also subscribe to the Muppeteers as well. Road to, I think you recently hit 30, didn't you? So what's the next one? Road to 40?
I guess we'll go for 50. I mean, we'll
go for 50.
Let's go for 50.
Go for 50. Exactly. Road to 50K. So there you go. Subscribe to James. Follow him on all platforms. We'll be back with more content tomorrow. Have a good one. Peace.